Oh, hey there. Paul Farahvar here. I'm the host of a new podcast called Why Are You Awake? Talk to people that are up late at night. Our first episode features comedian Jim Flanagan. You can catch him at Jimmy Flan. Follow him everywhere. Follow me at Paul Farahvar on Instagram. PaulFComedy.com has all my upcoming dates. Please check it out. Please enjoy the podcast. Review, subscribe, tell your friends. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/PaulFComedy. And for those of you from the singles only days, please continue to subscribe, share, give us a review, all that good stuff. Enjoy this episode and check out our sponsors. Hey gang, as some of you know, I used to be a practicing lawyer in Chicago. I no longer practice, but from time to time, I need a lawyer. And when I need a lawyer, I call my friend Scott Shapiro. Scott Shapiro has been practicing law for over 25 years in Chicago. He does it all, from workers' compensation to personal injury, employment issues, and even entertainment law and contract needs. If you need a lawyer, call my friend Scott. 312-648-8800. That's 312-648-8800. Or you can email him at scott@scottshapirolegal.com. Tell him I sent you. You're welcome. Okay, so just don't mention that this is the first episode because I don't know what order I'm going to do. Other than that, everything goes.
Okay. You know, it's the first thing I'm going to say now just to fucking make you hate me. All right. Hi, I'm Paul Farahvar. Episode 1.
See, you're already peaking. See, you're yelling. Remember I said you were too loud?
I thought you meant I was peaking.
Is that too loud, Justin?
No, I'm running it through a compressor.
Oh.
I thought you meant peaking and like you're already doing your best work.
Why are you awake? Welcome to Why Are You Awake? Paul Farahvar here, your host, asking the question, why are you awake? It's not I know the name of the podcast makes it sound like this is something about psychology or sleep issues, but it's not. It's a night owls thing. I'm a night owl. I always have been, even before I was a comedian. And I like to talk to people who are also in that category to see how it goes. My guest tonight is a fellow night owl, very funny comedian, one of my closest friends in comedy and in real life. You might know him from WCIU's show that he was on, that he always wants as a credit when you bring him up, and all over the country and regular at all the clubs here in Chicago. Jim Flanagan. Hey, Jim.
Paul, how are you? Thanks for that warmish intro. That was beautiful.
I forgot the name of the show that you always liked. What was it called?
I don't even know.
Night of the Town?
I think that's exactly what it was.
What was it called?
I don't even know. But why that? Why is that shot coming at me right off?
It's not a shot. It's just a funny. I remember once you asked me to give you that intro. I'm like, really? You want that? You have so many better. No,
I don't have real credits. That's the illusion of Jim Flanagan. I don't have any actual credits.
I think you do. I think you have a lot of credits.
We're getting somewhere. We're starting to now. I just had my first one come out, as you know.
Nate Bargatze. That's
one,
what I should have said.
That's the credit. That's okay.
What's Homeland, right?
Exactly. Homeland with Nate Bargatze and Claire Danes. No, let's go. We can go into anything else. Let's go back to that. Congratulations on your new podcast. I've listened to all of them up until this point, and I can't tell you enough how much I enjoy seeing
Jim,
you
tell us
here.
why you're single. Sorry, old habits die hard. You did just have a great opportunity to do a show for Nate Bargatze. What is the name of that?
Yeah. It was called Nateland Presents The Showcase.
Nateland Presents.
Which I also get that it's not like it rolls off the tongue. I like Homeland. Dude, that's a great...
Isn't that the name of his podcast?
No, it's Nateland.
Nateland.
Homeland is the Claire Danes show I referenced, which great first couple seasons if you've seen it.
I never saw it.
Really? You're a night owl. I thought that's what you do. You stay up and watch TV shows and movies.
Is that what you do when you stay up late?
I don't watch a lot of movies. I'm just out when I'm up late.
Well, so you're in an interesting situation similar to mine, where you were in the corporate world for a while. So you were working at nights, and then you'd have to work as a salesman.
I do.
For lack of a better word.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's corporate world. I was in corporate. I was a lawyer, but same hours, crazy hours. But you were doing shows. After a show, I don't know how you are, but it's hard to go to bed after a show. You're still wired.
You are raring to go.
You're coming from a show right now. I'm coming from a show right now.
Yeah, and it's different now, right? Because we don't have to be up in the morning the same reason every day. But the worst was like if you had a great show, right? Like like the first time I headlined Zanies on a Sunday. or something, and it's like I got to go to work Monday. You know what I mean?
You can't
and
go out
like
and party or like celebrate.
Yeah, and you do a little bit anyway. Or at least I did at the time. You know, I would party a little bit, but then like the next day you just have to be in the office, and you're like, do you have any idea who I was yesterday?
I was
Are
on
you
top
kidding
of the world.
me? Yeah,
for
you're
200 people.
You're mad at me for not doing my day job.
And I got home. I got to work 15 minutes late, and I'm getting grief.
Exactly.
Take you and your guff. Yeah. So how did you manage that? Were you just getting less sleep? Do you function on low sleep?
I did. Yeah. I don't know how now. You know what I'm saying? Like now that I don't have to do that every day, I don't know how I ever did that. I feel like I used it all up. I feel like I got like all of my good like sleepless years out there.
Do you feel like you now make up for it? Like let's say you do 4 nights, because I feel like now that I don't have to wake up, I've taken advantage, especially during COVID. I became more of a night owl. I started leaning into it where my hours were almost flipped from normal people.
Yeah.
And is that, for me, it's like, well, I don't have to wake up anymore. I don't have court in the morning. Did you do that too? You did that for a while, I know. I know now you're trying to get back to regular.
To the normal schedule. I like to wake up early in the morning. I don't know why. I'm not good at it. It's not hikes. Natural. Yeah, especially in the summer. I like to exercise early in the day because otherwise I'm not going to do it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I look for any excuse not to exercise. So if I
should do laundry again.
Yeah. And so if I woke up at 11, I don't have time to exercise now. I have to be on stage at 8. Like what? But I'll find a way to waste all that time doing nothing, just not do it. So I try to get up early. So I was always like a de facto night owl. Like I also drank a lot up until about 2 years ago. So it was also kind of like nighttime Jim wasn't really worried about what daytime Jim had to deal with.
Right.
So I was a de facto, like it was never like my intention to stay out all night. It was just what happened. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things now where I try to control it. Like, but it's hard because after a show, the last thing you want to do is just go be by yourself and do nothing, right? Like you've just had this range of emotions.
Right.
You want to think about it. Now I try to write after shows and everything. So I'm trying to find that balance. You don't think so?
I can't, but
I love it.
Really?
I think
that's the best thing to do.
If you're in that creative mindset, I think it's a great time to at least look at what you just did and see if there's maybe some new angles to take or a tag or anything, right? I can't go and start a new premise now because it's like, do you have an idea who I was just now? Like even to myself, I know.
But I think that that's all the greats.
Yeah.
They do that, and I just have no discipline to do that. As soon as especially if I'm driving home, the last thing I want to do is listen to my set.
Oh, that is a different story. Listening to it
or watching it or whatever.
Yep, none of that. I don't like that at all. I like to think about it. I'll go over in my mind what I thought happened, but I don't. I don't do that enough at all. Some people enjoy that.
But you said something that to me, some people do. They're lunatics, is what we call them.
Yeah.
But the thing that interests me that you said the last thing you want to do is be alone. For me, after a show, I do want to be alone. I don't want to. I shouldn't say that. I'd be with friends, but I don't want to be with strangers.
Oh boy.
The last thing I want to do.
Great point. It is it goes strangers the worst, then alone to me, and then like friends are the best option for sure, but strangers are far worse
just
than
to
alone.
Talk
Great
about
point.
100%.
Like unless they're strangers who weren't at the show, I don't mind that at all. I can go to another bar, sit down, grab a bite to eat, a cup of coffee, where I'm nobody again. I don't love like being around people who were at the show, right?
They're going to talk to you about it, which is fine. But that goes back to the last thing I want to do is talk about what I just did.
100%, right?
Or just
and
think
it's not
about
them.
it.
I love to say thank you to them, and I'm so appreciative that you're there. Let's talk for a few minutes, but anything more than that,
17 minutes. That's the top.
Seems to kind of ruin it. Do you have like a stopwatch? Are you ready to go?
It's been 17 minutes.
You just walk out in the
Everyone
middle of a conversation.
Are you buying shirts or not?
Get out of here.
No, I think you do hit a certain point where obviously you're appreciative after the show.
Yeah.
You want to talk to people. They want to talk to you about it. And that's great. I love talking about it. But then like when I hit the point where it's like, I can't talk about this anymore. And it's so funny because sometimes you meet interesting people and all they want to do is talk about comedy. I met these guys recently who were F-16 Air Force fighters.
Yeah.
They showed me planes. I'm like, I want to talk about that.
Right.
Like, he's like, you can come on the plane. I'm like, I can come on the plane? Me? And then,
that's awesome.
He just takes 2 weeks clearance. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to pass.
I'm not going to be able to do that.
But everything kept coming back to me and coming. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I just did dick jokes for like 20 minutes.
But isn't that weird that like their comedy is that, right?
Yeah.
Like being a fighter pilot. Like that's their Wednesday at the Chuckle Hut? You know, is there like they're training and everything? It's just such a weird thing. It's mundane to them.
It was Saturday.
Okay, whatever. I'm sorry. Saturday, 6 o'clock at the Chuckle Hut. Early show though, right?
No, it was late. Is there a Chuckle Hut?
No.
Okay.
I'm not gonna give someone free advertising on Paul Farahvar's podcast.
You got to pay for that.
Cut the whole 12 minutes because I said Chuckle Hut.
If you want to be a sponsor, Side Splitters.
Oh boy.
That's where it was.
Oh, okay, anyway, good.
But yeah, I understand that. But you said the last thing you want to be alone. I kind of like being alone after.
I don't mind being alone, but I don't like. I guess I just don't want it to. I don't want to just like go home by myself and be like, or like go back to a hotel.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes and just be like, okay, now it's just done right away. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you want to decompress a little bit.
So what I do in that situation on the road is I always make sure the hotel has a 24-hour gym and you work out.
Wow.
It's the best.
I disagree.
Because then you could sleep in and you feel like you've already accomplished. You know how you were like, oh, it's too late to wake up. You've already workked out.
Is anyone else ever in there with you?
No.
Okay.
It's the best. It's
I kind of like that too.
In like Plano, Texas.
Yeah.
Or wherever the hell you are.
Okay.
And no one's there. And then you see all the drunks coming in.
Oh, wow.
And they're like, who's this fucking
And you're
idiot?
just judging all of them.
No,
like,
they're judging me. They're like,
but are
who's
you
this
also
guy?
like, oh, I'm bettering myself, but go out there and have fun and be weirdos?
They're probably doing more fun stuff.
I mean, probably.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Really? You do all hours of the night?
All hours of the night.
You do. You are very...
Night owl.
Like I'll get texts from you like 1 a.m. just like
you up?
Yeah, not quite. Let's keep that clear.
You get so mad.
There's still a couple where I'm like, don't do that. Don't send that. Don't text
words
that.
I can't say.
I love doing that too.
Now I say, "Are you awake?"
Yes.
Chip?
Are you
so
awake?
You don't say,
hello, it is Paul. Just checking in, not being weird. No. Yeah, but like it'll be like 2:30 in the morning, and you'll just be like, I want to have a conversation. I'm not that night owly all the time yet.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I feel like you were, and then you stepped back.
I was.
Okay.
I was doing, I think last summer, right? Like, or maybe 2 summers ago. It was kind of, I think maybe 2 summers ago, kind of like height of the pandemic still, like or comedy clubs just being open again. Yeah.
Well, you had just quit your job.
Yeah.
To full-time comedy.
That's true. I was out here a lot.
That period, I remember the day I quit.
Oh boy.
My law firm.
Sure.
I went to Comedians You Should Know on Wednesday for the first time, and I was like, I could just hang out. I can
just do this now.
I don't have to like go home and go to sleep and
this
prepare
is my life now.
Yeah, it was a different vibe.
It just changes everything. Everything, like it's no longer the thing you think about when you have enough time. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Now it's the thing that rules everything.
Yeah.
And that shift alone is huge for a comic. Like that's Absolutely. A great moment.
It's like you get to like relax when you're out.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good feeling.
I feel like, I don't know, part of me feels like I'm moving towards being more of a night owl. I'm sleeping in a lot more. I'm staying up a lot later. I woke up at like 10 o'clock this morning today.
Oh, God.
On a Tuesday. What, are you kidding me? It's prime working hours. Gone.
If I'm
I didn't have time to work out. I'd be on stage at 8.
If I'm awake before 11:30, I feel like I've accomplished so much.
That's crazy.
If it's an AM.
Really?
Oh, it's the best feeling.
Really?
Well, also...
When was the last time you had McDonald's breakfast?
Well, I liked when they had it 24 hours for a while. That was amazing. Yeah. But it's been a while.
I get it.
But during that time when it was 24 hours, and my friend's wife was one of the people in charge of making that happen. No big deal. Shout out to Molly.
Molly.
But yeah, why did they stop doing that?
Pandemic. Great question. So,
you know the McDonald's.
Yeah, one of my friends was in charge of shutting it down. So that's what... My friend hates Molly. I don't know what the beef is there.
Corporate politics.
Not a Molly fan.
You know McDonald's Corporation.
You know how they get. My friend is the Hamburglar, and they just want to shut down any fun. Molly, no. I think it was the pandemic. They everyone just cut back on all of the ingredients. You know what's funny? McDonald's also no longer has salads, but no one's ever mentioned that.
I didn't know that. The shaker salad?
They had those, and they had regular ones for a while too. But
I didn't know that.
I think when they took away all the stuff during the pandemic, just to trim everything down, right? They took away breakfast, they took away salads, and no one's ever been like, what the hell happened to the salads? But all day breakfast, we're like, I can't get a steak, egg, and cheese McGriddle at midnight? What the hell?
I didn't know that they fully took it away until I thought it was just where I was in the city once. I'm like, oh, you guys don't even have that
limited time menu.
Yeah. I was like, oh, but now it's a new thing. Now it's full time gone.
It's gone. Yeah. What are you going to do? But you don't get that joy during the day.
No.
I think that's part of it for me. I like breakfast too much. Is that I
love breakfast.
So
I just eat it anytime I want.
You are a rebel.
I mean, we went and got food last night at
and
midnight.
that ruined my day. I think that's part of it too. Like it just you wake up like it just ate at 1 o'clock in the morning. What's that all about? I wake up this morning just like, what the hell? Like
I'm hungover from
it's
a
unbelievable.
milkshake.
I quit drinking, and I feel worse about my decisions when I'm late at night.
I know.
I'm like, dog, you had a milkshake after your omelet?
We did. It was so good.
What's wrong with us?
It was so good. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. It's I feel like staying up late. I'm also very productive from the hours of 10 p.m. to 2 a.m.
Oh, it is annoying the amount of emails that I get from Paul in that sweet spot.
I
do schedule a lot of them.
I schedule emails on Google, or on Gmail, so that when they get them at like 8:30, which now pisses me off because people think I'm awake and then they call me. I'm like, no, that was scheduled.
You're doing this to yourself.
I know. I am.
You're setting this expectation.
I said it. I'm
going to call you at 8 a.m. tomorrow and be like,
I won't answer.
Damn it.
It doesn't bother me, but. That way, when you do wake up at 11:30, you've already got instead of like sending out 10 emails, you've got
a lot of it started
responses, and your day has already started.
That's good.
And that way, I didn't waste that time. And also, your brain, that energy that you have after a show, you're not going to fall asleep. You can use that in the business setting or whatever. You can do business emails or promotion that you have to do for upcoming shows or whatever. There's so much you can do that's productive that in the daytime you can't do.
Yeah, and you don't need it to be the daytime to do, right? Like you don't need it then. That's true. God, I think part of it's I live an hour away from the city, right? So if I'm out here doing shows,
by the time you get home,
that energy's kind of zapped a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think that's a big part of it. But you're right. I need to be more productive at night.
But the driving too,
then people just stop. Like they think you're unpredictable, and I like that.
What do you mean?
Like Jim's just he's thinking about working this club at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh yeah,
this guy's a gosh darn go getter. Let's bring him in.
But sometimes those people are also night owls, and then you get opportunities like that too. Fair. Like on the West Coast, they're like it's 10 o'clock.
Something in common here. I'm up working also. That's fair. Oh, I like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to do.
And then this is like an educational podcast out of you, Paul.
That's what we're doing here.
Dr. Paul.
We're providing a service. That's what I do here. I mean, I did it with the dating world. I did it with the music industry. Sure. And now I'm just doing it with people in general. I think I'm like Gary V.
Okay. My favorite part of people are probably like, oh, that's a really good point, Paul. And then they look over and they're like, is that his T-shirt with 69 on it? And we were taking this guy seriously 3 seconds ago.
Do you know how many people see that shirt that they want to buy after a show? Like,
I can't wear it because of this. Do you get that sometimes? Yeah. Oh, that's so funny.
It's benign. That's what you used to do to call people back.
It's benign.
It is. That's what you used to do. Star 69. You would call people. You call the number back.
Oh, that is true.
It's meta.
But it's still a 69 reference.
Yeah, it's true.
Of course. It's amazing.
I need to make them without the 69.
You do have a lot of these. You have a lot of old timey cell phones around the set. Can I call it a set? Is it a studio?
This is a studio. We're on the West Loop of Chicago.
It's beautiful. It's the Better Call Paul Studios here.
Why are we
at Lincoln? Can I give it the address away?
No.
In case people want to come up and watch out the window like they used to do at ESPN Studios. We'll just open this up.
Out there. Yeah,
they're just lined up out there. Hello, everybody.
They do it on ABC News. And there's people like waiting for that last 2 seconds to be on TV.
It's just out there all day. I get it if it's like Good Morning America at Rockefeller Center or something, but doing it for like the small time local TV shows is just ridiculous to me.
But when I was a kid, did you ever get interviewed before you were a comedian? Like I got interviewed for like, how do you think the Bears are going to do? Yeah. And I saved all those. I have them on a VHS player.
You're real. You send those out to bookers.
I was on NBC. I was on ABC.
I was on WCIU commercials.
Yeah. Like, I mean, but that's the WC.
That was a callback to me.
I got it.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, did you ever have those? Do you have clips of you like giving predictions on?
I do.
Whatever. Or
I don't know if it was opinions. That, but like being asked about, they interviewed me on the news a couple times. One was for being like a young reader.
Like, you were in a library?
Like, it was like me reading a book at like 3 years old, which last time I read a book, I feel like it was staged.
You don't read books.
I barely know how.
Yeah.
I listen to books, and even by the end, I'm like, okay, I get most of it. I listen to a lot of biographies, but I don't finish them because I'm like, I know where they're at now. Like, I can just Google it.
So you were 3 years old. You're at the Glenbard What is it? A library?
Glendale Heights Public Library. And
for what channel was that?
I mean, it was probably a WCIU affiliate. It was probably the U's got it. Rich Coase was much, like back to.
You're giving them too much press.
Okay, you're right. I'm sorry.
Okay, so what was the next one you got?
I don't even remember the other ones, but that's the big one. I know there were two. We went downtown. My parents took me downtown to like audition for commercials at one point. Did you do that?
Not as a kid, no.
What as an adult? As an adult, your parents take you down there to audition for commercials?
Have them.
Good luck, Paul. We love you very much.
Rust-Oleum commercial audition, yeah.
That's awesome.
No.
Which I think is the biggest scam in the world. You know what I mean? Someone's like, "Oh, your kid's adorable. They should be in commercials."
You got to do all these. Go to our photographer. $6,000.
Yep, you pay $1,100. You go down there.
It's all a scam.
And I was like, I was terrified. My parents wasted the money. I didn't like want to. You know, I was camera shy. Nothing. Someone told them that I should do this, and I was like, "Yeah, I can do that." And then I got down there, and I'm like, "What am I doing here?" You know, I didn't like know the name of the products or anything we're supposed to be talking about. It was terrible.
So that didn't.
So no acting career. Yeah, no. And since then, I've maintained that level of acting success.
Okay. Well, I mean, this is your next clip. You can be. I'm
pretty excited.
This is another credit you can add to your WCIU.
I'm pretty excited. I saw you on the TV show with the 69 in the background. Oh yeah, it's my friend Pulse.
Episode 69 of Why Are You Awake? Okay, so let me ask you this: you did have the life of a corporate world, and you were doing comedy. Are there positives to now having to, other than not having to wake up? Are there other positives that you have of having a nightlife, and having a job in the night
versus the day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are the advantages?
I love it. There are certain things like, if it weren't for the late eating is awesome. Like, I mean, it's the most fun thing, but also just
it's not bad for you if you don't eat early when you wake up.
Yeah, see, that's the other problem. And I like to wake up early. Have we not covered this?
Do you eat? You're hungry when you wake up?
I mean, not after we eat at 1 o'clock in the morning.
See, it's not that it's not as bad as you think.
You're right, and it is not the worst. But I mean,
it's intermittent fasting.
It is if you're sticking with it though. But no, I mean, like just the idea of no one really being there. You know what I mean? You get to go to like diners and they're pretty empty, and no one cares if you hang out for a while.
Right.
You know, I love that stuff. I love driving to and leaving the city at a reasonable hour.
Right.
Right? I mean, sometimes they mess with us at night, though, and they just just bring everything down to one lane and not tell anyone at 3 o'clock in the morning. You're like, oh, cool, this add an extra hour and a half for nothing. But a lot of things like that. Yeah, I don't know. I was talking to, you know Tim Cavanaugh?
Tim Cavanaugh, of course.
Really funny comedian.
Very funny comedian.
He and his wife have like completely transitioned to night owls. Like, you know, she comes with them to shows.
Oh, wow.
And like, they just stay up all night. They sleep all day. And she's like, everything we need to do, we can do. It's easier. You go grocery shopping. No one's around.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, I got a lot harder during the pandemic for a while, right? Because everything was shutting down early. But now that things are reopening again, it's like you just live this alternate life where there's no one to bother you. And that's pretty great.
Yeah. And I think it is better. Before the pandemic, it was a lot better because a lot of things are still not fully hours.
Sure.
Like Potbelly's now closes at 9. It used to close at 10.
You're telling me, brother.
Yeah. A lot of things are annoying. But before, I used to go grocery shopping late at night. It was the best. No lines. You'd run into like the coolest people. I saw Billy Corrigan at Jewel.
Yeah, really?
There's a lot of cool things.
Yeah. I love that part of it. I do. I mean, that stuff's great, right? I
and
like
everyone's
driving
nicer
at night
too. Yeah. Like they're like, oh, you too. Like you get like a head nod.
We're in the same boat.
Like, oh, you're getting some ramen noodles late at night.
Yeah.
Same.
I like that. Yeah, I mean those are great advantages.
Those ramen noodles were 20 cents. Now they're like 35.
Just so you know. Almost doubling, huh?
Almost double.
That's pretty.
It's kind of brutal.
Pretty aggressive inflation.
Well, that's what happens.
Type of hard-hitting topics we talk about here on Why Are You Awake with Jim Flanagan, host Paul Farahvar.
I think. Oh, that's great about Tim. I need to get him on the podcast.
Yeah. I'm just here to recommend other guests who would be better at this than me. Yeah.
For the rest of the show, just tell us who else is.
I'll tell you who'd be good at answering that question. Michael Palasek.
He's a
start naming other people who stay up at night. He's a night owl
for sure. It's great.
The overnight DJ in Rockford. I don't know who that is, but it'd be great.
Him and I were the ones that were talking about doing this podcast originally, but he lives in Los Angeles.
He sure does. He's very popular and very important. And
very important is a little bigger than too big for this little WCIU podcast.
I get it. I hope they're a sponsor.
What are the negatives for you that you've noticed? Because I mean, obviously, you had the other side of the spectrum.
I feel like the negatives aren't about the daytime part. It's just like not having health insurance, things like that.
No,
I guess that's
I'm
a good thing.
I know.
I'm saying about the job part. I guess that's
this
good.
This isn't just about comedy.
If I'm not awake during the day, I can't go to a doctor. So that's a good thing about being a night owl, right?
Or get injured because there's less people to run into.
So few people
but
to hit me with
a heart
their
attack,
car.
No one will see you.
Well, this is going to happen either way. I live alone. That's
true.
Do you think more night owls are loners too? Do you think there's a connection there?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I think that the creatives aren't, obviously. Yeah. But it's hard to be a night owl and not have multiple vices that are some of are negative. You know, ours happen to be food and milkshakes. Sure. It's not a bad thing.
And I've gone through several others before settling on food and milkshakes as the final two.
See, for me, like even as a kid, I remember when I was a kid, I was a night owl. Like I would stay up till the beginning of The Tonight Show when Johnny Carson. And my parents let me watch the monologue, and then I get to go to sleep. That was like when you're in 5th grade.
Yeah,
which is late. 10:45 is late for a kid.
And I would wake up late the next day, and then like, come on, I let you watch Carson, and you're gonna do this to me.
I was always tired, and then I remember as I got older, I would stay up late at night and watch TV reruns, the 10:30 to 11 slot, and then I would be so tired in the morning. And then I would take naps in the afternoon when I came back from school sometimes, and it would rinse and repeat, same thing. When I got to college, I wouldn't take any classes that were before 11.
Really?
That's awesome. Like, oh, psychology. Too bad it's at 9:30. I wouldn't take them because I knew I wouldn't go.
See, I didn't sign up early enough for that. I had to take a lot of 8 a.m. classes, and it was because I was like late to sign up, and I hated it so much.
By the time I was a senior in college, I was working at a bar, so I was full night owl. I was coming home I was going to bed when the lights was coming up.
Sure.
I just remember I couldn't even make it to 11 o'clock classes. I was like,
you just like, I can't do this.
I already had enough credits to
be awake,
graduate. So I was like, fuck it. I don't need to graduate with another major.
Good for you, buddy.
It was three
I'm not going to do this all the way.
3 credits. All I needed was for just to get speech communication with distinction. And I couldn't go to that class. I couldn't make it. I dropped it. I was like, fuck it. I don't want to get a C.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't want to get a C, so you dropped the class.
Yeah. I was a good student. No big deal.
Okay.
But so I was always a night owl. And then when I had to wake up in the career world when I was a lawyer, it was really hard for me.
Like, did you have to wake up that early, like, and be at the office at 8 or 9 or whatever every day, or just on days you had court?
I would go straight to court if it was 9:30 were the courts. I would always ask for a later slot. Okay. So you can sometimes be like, oh, I can't make that judge. Especially if I had to go to Wheaton Courthouse, which is a 2-hour drive in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
So if it was a 9 a.m. court, I would say, hey, is there room for the 11? Then if it was 9 o'clock, those days I'd have to wake up early. And what I would do is, so I'd go to bed at 1, 2, back then even.
Really just fall asleep early.
Go
1,
to sleep
2 a.m. Really just
2
get a good
a.m.
night's sleep.
That was like my norm, or 1 if I was lucky. I'd wake up I'd have to leave here by 7 to get there at 9.
Okay.
I'd have my assistant call the judge, say I'm running late because I always was late, and they always knew. And after court, I would go take a nap at my parents' house before I went back downtown because I was so tired.
Now, did the judges know you? Like, did they know you were in bands and a comedian?
They knew that, most of the judges were pretty cool. Well, I wasn't a comedian.
Did that ever bother them? Like, oh, Paul, glad you could make it. I heard you were at the Chuckle Hut till 1:30 this morning.
I was a musician at the time.
You're still not a real club.
They knew that I had a different life, and some judges were assholes about it.
Okay.
When I was a comedian towards the end, they were cool about it. But,
really?
Yeah, some of them were really cool. In fact, some of them, like when I stopped, when I was on my own and practicing less and less, they were like, I'd see them at the Cubs games, and they were like, "Oh my God, we remember you? Are you really doing comedy?" Because they were doing articles about me by that time.
Oh, sure.
In the papers,
in the legal community,
not WCIU,
but the legal briefs. That'd be cool if that was like a
legal briefs.
That'd be cool if that was like a magazine, like a
legal briefs,
like lawyer porn, legal briefs, just like lingerie models.
I gotta
legal
check my briefs, and then it just goes, "Oh, they're here." That's like a porn. I don't know.
That's good. That's crazy.
What about?
Wait a minute, you'd be late to court
all the time.
Would your clients be pissed?
No, because they're court hearings.
So they're not there.
They're not there. I wasn't. If it was in the afternoon, I was never late. It was just mornings.
I was late to customers' offices constantly.
Really?
A lot of times it was because of comedy and going out late at night. But again, it was never the plan. I don't like there were nights I'd go out and gamble all night or go out and drink all night and then go straight to work in the morning. But it wasn't a night owl thing. It was more of like just a party. It just never ended thing, right? Yeah, type of thing.
But you weren't tired, so that's
a night owl. Absolutely. Oh, 100%. I just always fought it. You know what I'm saying? It was always like the balance of the two things. I was late to customer appointments a lot. Luca's cousin was one of my customers, a good friend of ours, Luca Farrow, a very funny comedian, and she told him a story recently where I was like late to an appointment of theirs, and I had gotten a flat tire. I remember it very vividly once she told the story to them. But she was like, and he took a picture of him like changing the tire so we would believe it, as opposed to all the other times where he was just late.
You're like, no, this time.
I know. And it was like, oh, it totally did invalidate every other thing I ever told her. By the one time I was like, see, this is real. I was like, oh, shit.
Oh, yeah.
It's so true.
I mean, a couple of times I got reprimanded. They're like, we noticed that last time it happened. Maybe you should just leave a little earlier. I'm like, well, you don't understand. I'm coming from Chicago. Like, so is everybody else,
Really?
Yeah, a couple times I got reprimanded, but my assistant always knew that I was going to be late.
Okay.
So I'd call. And then...
Would the assistant be there on time?
She'd be at the office,
You got to have a good assistant. Yeah, the assistant's got to be
She was
time.
awesome. And not only that, but like, she knew if I had shows towards the end when I was doing comedy, she would email me the judge's clerks, like, in case you want to call them directly. Because it sounds better if it's something if I call myself. I can be like, I can tell them exactly where I'm at.
Sure.
So she was on top of it. And
that's great.
Yeah. But now I'm still late for everything,
too. So, like, what do you do when you have, like, auditions and stuff in the morning? Do you just, like...
I'm pretty good about shows and auditions. Everything else, I'm always late.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I just don't plan. I don't plan, especially mornings are hard for me. I mean, I guess I'm always late for everything. I've gotten better at it, and I think with shows, I'm always pretty good about. Well, here's the thing: they always ask us to be there way earlier than we need to be,
or the opposite happens where it's like the one time you're cutting it close, they start everything right on time.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's the okay, we're going. Yep. Oh, everyone went short.
One or two times where I had to like run.
Really?
Yeah. Only of over 12 years. It's not bad.
It's not bad at all. I've had a couple this month. I am really? Like, oh man, I had one Rosemont, just like 20 minutes from me, just terrible traffic. It took like an extra hour. So I'm just like texting him pictures every 10 minutes again, invalidating all of my previous excuses. I gotta stop that.
I think that they trust me at most of these places that know me. I don't do it at places. Well, I shouldn't say. It's not like I intentionally do it, but like tonight I had Laugh Factory shows at 7:30. I'm like towards the end.
Okay.
No one's gonna. I think even in the email where they send now, they're like, just make sure you're there 10 minutes before your set, and that I'm like, I'll be there by 8.
Seems pretty easy. Yeah.
But
Zany's
is a little tougher because they like to have you there before the show starts.
It's different than a showcase room, right? Like a showcase 100%. Room, I think you get like a little more leeway of like you might be bouncing around doing a few spots. I think some of these clubs, even if you're hosting or middling at a headliner club, they're like, well, we're kind of renting you for the night. They more, you know what I mean? Like it feels more like that than like versus.
Which makes sense. But like, I think that if it's like, okay, I'm running, I'll be there. The show's at 8. I'll be there at 8. And I text the host and be like, hey, just say this. And it's like, I think that's fair.
I think
I don't do it every time, but
sure, every once in a while those things
happen. But it used
to
be at Rosemont, they'd wanted you there 30 minutes before the show. I was like, come on.
I think that's standard, right?
No, I think it's like 15 minutes.
Really?
Only time I get texts from clubs when I'm running late is this after I've hit when it's 10 minutes before the show. Like Sunday, I was late to a show in Florida, and he goes, "Hey, are you on your way?" I was like, "Yep, I'll be there at." And I was middling, so it didn't matter. And he was totally cool. And the show never starts on time at that club.
Okay,
but I was like, "I'll be there by 8," and sure as shit, I was there right before 8.
Like 7:58 running in.
And the show didn't start till 8:15
Man,
anyway.
That's the worst.
So now I'm waiting around anyway.
That's the worst. I love the ones that are like, all right, get here at 7, the show's at 8, you're on after the intermission. I'm like, well, why don't I? Can I just go? Can I just get there at the intermission time?
It's so annoying.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the cons for me. What about personal life?
Yeah, that's a good question.
How does that? So that's
real tough.
This is going back to the podcast days of Singles Only. But I cannot, if you go on the dating apps now, I don't even bother because you have to re-explain all this shit. Like, hey, how about Thursday? I'm like, okay, so here's what you need to know. I'm not available from 7 to 10. Pretty much every fucking night. I can go to dinner with you at 5 or I can go with you at 10.
100%.
10 o'clock is so late for some people.
Yeah. I mean, if they have normal, daytime hours, right? Bankers hours and working hours. Yeah, it's terrible for them.
Dating a lot of
They're
bankers,
not going to, I do. I date a lot of bankers. I like a briefcase, I like a gal with a briefcase. And I think, but
they don't have briefcases.
They might, you don't know that. They got a big satchel of money. Don't they?
There will be a satchel, not a briefcase.
Okay, let's not get into
nothing if we're not consistent here.
Well, we're not consistent here. This is episode number ? I'm sorry, it's an inside joke. I'm an idiot. No. I think it is really difficult, and just for communication. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like a lady I'm seeing, she'll be like, "How's your day?" And I'm like, "It's starting." You're. I know you're, and it sucks because she's like, "Oh, I'm winding down. I'd love to talk." I'm sure, and I'm like, "Ooh, I am getting ready to go on stage in 10 minutes, and then I gotta watch the headliner, and then I got I don't want to be like, TV shows are weird. Like I don't want to. I'm gonna do that up there in front of, and it's not their fault. Like it's not something you want to blame them for. Like it's not them at all, right?
Yeah. What about your God? There's like bugs in here.
There's bugs in here. I wasn't gonna mention it, but the camera's.
I bought a plant yesterday from Home Depot, and it came with bugs. That's why I was so cheap.
I've been here a while.
Fruit flies?
I'm kidding.
Well, there's a lot of lights on here.
That's very true.
What about your non-comedian friends?
Like
I miss out on so many things.
I think my friends do a pretty good job of understanding that I'm making an effort, right? Like I think that's a thing. Like being friends with people who are night owls is not an easy thing. And it like everything, it's tougher to find a time to call people.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to call people when it's too late. I don't want to call people when they're awake and they might answer. Like it's a very difficult. I gotta try that. It's a good bit.
You doing bits on this thing?
I didn't even mean to. Okay. That's just funny. But no, like I think it definitely makes all those things. Like I went to a buddy's birthday party the other day, and they're like, "We're starting early. We're starting at 5." And I was like, "Awesome! I can be there for 40 minutes." Like, and they were really happy with the effort. You know what I'm saying? Right. It was really great to see them. But it's like you just don't get those opportunities very often to be able to go.
Right. You miss out on a lot of stuff.
You really do. Family, friends, it's a difficult piece of it because we're working at night.
Yeah, sometimes it works to your benefit. I went to my high school reunion and I only got to go for the first 15 minutes, and then I got to come back at the end where everyone was shit canned. I missed all the.
That's a nice some of the good bookend. Yeah.
But I also missed all the stuff, all the people that I didn't want to probably talk to.
That is the secret.
And I got to get credit for showing up. It was like a win-win.
Even.
Yeah,
I
came back. And then by the time I came back,
hero.
I missed out on all the. I got to just hang out with the people that you want to see because it siphons off into smaller groups.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's benefits.
Great.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, but with friends, it's a lot harder.
It is.
Because they're like, hey, what are you doing Friday? I'm like, I can meet you guys after.
Yeah.
I have 2 shows or whatever.
Yeah. And sometimes that sucks too, right? Yeah. Like if you meet up with people who you love seeing, but they're in a different mind state than you at 1 a.m. on Saturday by the time you get out there. Yeah. You're just like, I got off work and they're mid-partying. And you're just like, oh, we're not in the same place.
Especially when
now.
You're sober now, too. Yeah. Like I am, too. And it's just like, do I want to even...
just like, do I... Yeah. And they've done it for me so many times, but they were drunk, too. So that's a big difference.
It's hard. It's a hard world, we've decided.
It really... That's what this podcast is about. The struggles that we have, isn't it? How everyone's so against us.
Why are you guys against us? We're just trying to make people laugh.
I do love like a city like Las Vegas where you can literally do everything for 24 hours. And that's what's incredible. Yeah. Like in New York too. But like Vegas has a really fancy steakhouse that is like a happy hour from 2 to 4 a.m. And it's the coolest thing. It's called Herbs and Rye. Right. It's really great. It's off strip.
Too much. Weird to let that out.
Use my promo code. star69.
Americana is a late night breakfast place there too.
Really?
In the Paris.
How great is that?
Yeah, it's across from MGM.
I love the idea that there's like a, maitre d' at this place at like 3:30 in the morning. You can, you know what I mean? You can be in there and just order in a nice ribeye. I love it. That's awesome.
Is it on the Strip?
No, it's off the Strip.
Oh, yeah.
It's,
see, like
the ribeye or the, I'm just kidding. Real dumb.
I got it. Yeah, it's bad. It's like your bowling show.
Okay. But yeah, like I love cities like that where you can just like, because there are things that are certainly a downside here, right?
Yeah.
Like even in a city as great as Chicago, like you're not going to get a haircut or like go to the bank if you have to like sign paperwork. But in Vegas, you could do those things at 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah, because most people are doing that too. Yeah,
yeah.
It is different there. I think, and it's great because there are so many entertainers in Vegas too, which is why a lot of comedians are going there, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, it was funny. We went to get breakfast, me and a couple of comedians, and then we see the other comedians from the other show.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, oh hell, we pull up all the tables.
One big breakfast.
And it was so fun. We're all just hanging out and telling stories, just listening to like these veterans tell these awesome. I love hearing stuff from the old days.
Yeah, me too.
So it was like so cool. But like here in Chicago, you don't see that as much anymore. I feel like before the pandemic, you'd go to a diner, you'd run into other comedians stuff, but like now it's just not the same.
I feel like it's moving in that direction, right?
Moving
like I think we're starting to get a little more so there.
I hope so, yeah.
I think more people are hanging out because that's the other thing. Like, I don't know, in what we do, there is there's a solitude to it. Is a good way to put it. But at night with other comedians, like the camaraderie, it's just, there's a lot to be, there's collaboration, right? Like there's the opportunity for that. And more people being night owls in our business, like there's just this, I guess there's a continuity that you have by doing the same thing and being the same things. And it just really brings you together and it makes it easier to work with each other, riff off of things like that, and just have those moments at night. You're not going to do that at 11 o'clock in the morning. You know what I'm saying?
And you're not going to do it before a show either because you're thinking about your show. So
correct.
After the show is like, for us, it's like after work, right? Because I'm always like, hey, if you're a night owl, if I'm going to match with someone on a podcast or on a dating app, I'll be like, hey, if you're a night owl, 10 o'clock works the best for me because then I could focus on meeting you.
That's it.
But at 5:30, if we go to dinner at 5 or 5:30 before the show, in my head, I'm like, okay, I've got 30 minutes before I got to start thinking. I don't want to be late for the show again.
What time do I gotta leave again?
Yeah, exactly.
All those things, my set list. Yeah.
Yeah. But after the show, and that's why having other comedians around, having other night owls or creatives, it just puts you in that right state of mind.
So where have you had the most success with dating? Like what type? Like bankers? People that
are
servers,
night owls, I think,
like food service. Like are there certain careers you find with night owls?
I think that other creatives, people who are CEOs of their own companies.
Yeah,
that's always the way to go.
Absolutely.
I was dating one of those where they'll be like, oh, I don't have a meeting until 12:30. I can hang out with you. And you're like, hell yeah, we'll go get food and do whatever, like just chill.
That's great.
That's it. But no, I haven't really had any success. I'm also in a place now where I'm just like, I have so much shit. I don't have time to do that stuff. I don't want to, I'm tired of explaining the nuances of who I am now. Because they're like,
also, yes, I do make money doing stand-up comedy. Like not even the night owl part, but like the other things you're already explaining, and then that added into it.
I don't want to deal with having to explain all that stuff. And then the same thing with my friends too, like that are non-comedians, because it's like I do like hanging out with them, but it's like, okay, you don't understand. Like this is what I'm dealing with right now.
100%.
Like I can't explain to them how angry I am because the algorithm hates me right now.
Oh boy!
But I can talk to.
Did you just have one pop off? Whatever. We'll talk about that later.
Well, it's all, and then it's so fucking, that's a whole nother thing where now that's all we're talking about instead of like hanging out. I was just at Laugh Factory and the other comedians were like, oh man, this is all screwed up. I'm like, we're all in this together and we're all against each other. It's like such a fucked up situation.
It really is. But I think that's always been comedy. Not to make this all about that, but like,
you think Greg Giraldo and
okay, fair enough.
Dave Attell were talking about the
algorithm. No, but I think there's always been like we're all in this together and we're all against each other. Like by nature, what we do, we have to compare ourselves to other people, right? Like to who's getting bigger laughs. Like it's how you know how good you are. So I think there's always been that dichotomy, but not with the algorithm. Thank you for clarifying.
Right. But yeah, it is. It's a big thing, and it takes away from the art.
Art.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This art of
man, I love complaining about it taking away from the art when it's not helping me out. That's why I do that. I'm just like, you're ruining the art of my dick jokes. Like,
it's so creative what we do.
until the algorithm works for me, and I'm like, art smart, let's go.
And what about after shows where the other thing about it is no one understands other than other comedians is like when you bomb or you have bad show, you don't want to talk to anybody.
I don't want to talk to a lot of people then. Sometimes I want to talk to somebody, but not someone who was at the show, and maybe not even about the show. Just about sometimes just tell me a story
about something I don't have to think about. Why
my stomach hurts because I did so bad at comedy. Just talk about anything else. Yeah.
But then when you have a great show or an average show, you're like, oh, okay, I can.
I'm king of the world. Yeah. Why wouldn't you want to talk to me? I'm the most interesting guy on the planet. It was pretty great. It was pretty great. Yeah, it was really fun. And it's one of those you leave on a high. Yeah, it's kind of weird, too, because I was working with my buddy, comedic magician, Eric Eaton, and DJ Ribsky was hosting. And I kind of ran out of there to do this, which I'm happy to do. I'm very happy to be here. But it's also like, it's weird because like every few days you're like...
Are we supposed to say we're happy you're here too?
No.
Okay, just making sure.
No, that's not
every couple of days, sorry, go ahead.
Every couple of days, like you're also saying goodbye to your friends.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so after it was like a great show and like 3 great nights of working together, and it's just like, all right, see you later. Bye. We'll do this again sometime down the line, you know?
Well, especially when you're on the road too, or you're doing like Eric, you probably won't see him for another 6 months or a year.
Right. This time I'm lucky enough, I'm going to be seeing him in Nashville. But for the most part, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's how it works. And it's like... Yeah, it's just kind of like it's fun and it's great, but there's still always like
It's weird that you're gonna see each other, but you're not gonna see them for a long time.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And sometimes like there are friends where you will see them 3 or 4 times over the course of a year in just random cities and random places, and then you won't see them for 9 years. But someone's like Paul Farahvar, I'll be like, oh, one of my best friends. Yeah, I haven't seen him in 9 years, but every time we're in the same city, we hang out, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird thing about what we do.
Why are we doing this?
It's a great question. Should change the title of this.
Why are we doing this?
Why are we doing this?
Why are we awake?
Why are you awake?
Well, we did answer those questions as to why we are awake.
I think so. Did I? I'm sorry. I hope I wasn't too evasive on those. I like to not answer questions.
No, you were less evasive than you were on the podcast for Singles Only.
I had a boy, Jim.
Just as long as you don't talk about your personal life, you seem okay.
What personal life?
So why are you single, Jim?
All right, this is all a ploy to get.
What if it was? They're just like
suddenly that shirt falls down. It's a Singles Only T-shirt. That Singles Only podcast thing on the wall.
No. Jim, where can people find out more about you and your struggles of being a night owl?
I would really love it if they followed me on Instagram. I think
and
like all my reels
and put
posts.
them on the notifications.
Yeah, and you know, hit save. Put them to your favorites too. Don't be stingy. Give all those
and your notifications.
And your notifications so they can ding.
So
when there's new Jim Flanagan content, babe, let's go look at it.
You heard it here first.
Yeah. JimFlanagan.com for shows and stuff, and
website
at Jimmy Flan if you want to follow me on the internet.
Jimmy Flan at Jimmy Flan
on Instagrams.
Thanks, Jim.
Paul, where can they find you?
They know.
Are you going to do the intro and outro without me?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
What do you? Oh, I'll be. Oh yeah, maybe I should probably do that. I don't know when this is going to air.
This is Jim. Listen, you'll be able to see Paul next week at the I don't even know where. That'd be cool.
At
the Chuckle Hut.
WCIU's Chuckle Hut runs. Thank you, Jim, for doing the podcast, and thank you all for listening to another or watching. God, it's so I'm so used to saying listening.
I can't. Watching, I'm sorry you had to watch this.
Why are you awake? That's it.